Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Man in America. I'm your host, Seth Holmes. Today I'm speaking with one of my favorite guests, not because what we talk about is fun and exciting, but he's just a real, honest, hardworking patriot. It's J.J. Carrell. He is a former border agent, spent about 24 years working on the border in various capacities, and is really tuned in to what's happening in this country, especially as it relates to the immigration. He's also working on a documentary that is coming out in September, which we'll be talking about. But today what we'll be talking about is some kind of chilling information that he's gotten from one of his contractors that is his contacts. It's a contractor doing a lot of DOJ jobs that's come to him and said, look, we're now getting requests for proposals and information surrounding building out detention centers in 50 states. There's a massive budget set aside for this, and they're moving ahead with literally building detention centers with guard towers, secured entry, etc. So we're going to be talking a lot about what this means. Is it what we think it is? What are the long-term ramifications? And so much more. So folks, please enjoy the interview with J.J. Carrell. JJ, it's great to have you back on. I wish there was some sort of positive, happy news and we could be sitting here talking as two fathers and men in America, smiling upon our country. But unfortunately, these days we're not at that stage. So thanks for being here, man.
No, I appreciate you always have me on. I love talking to you about this. And yes, I wish there was some great news. Like Donald Trump, a year from now, Donald Trump's president, and we've deported, 15 million people, and we're going after the other 30 million. But that's not what we're talking about today. So sorry.
That's okay. It's what we're talking about is reality, which is important, right? Because we can't have our heads in the sand. So there's an interview that you did recently with Clayton Morris over at Redacted that's really been plucked out and it's gone very viral. And Reese Report, Greg Reese over at InfoWars, put together one of his great little 4-minute videos about this. It's about these detention centers that one of your contacts, I think it's a DoD contractor, has shared with you. Let's go ahead and start with, I'm going to go ahead and play that video. It's 4 minutes and 7 seconds long. I'll play the video and that will then help us set the stage for our discussion. So we'll start with that. Okay. And again, this is Greg Reese over at InfoWars, to give him credit where it's due. So let's go and start there.
Okay.
In a recent interview with Clayton Morris on Redacted, U.S. Border Patrol agent turned filmmaker J.J. Carrell discussed his new documentary and the fact that prison facilities are being built in all 50 states to hold millions of political dissidents.
And there's detention facility bids to build individual detention facilities in every state in the union. And then she goes on to say to me, well, JJ, who do you think they're built for? And she says in this interview, they're for dissidents, American dissidents.
The FEMA camps were reported decades ago. This was never an outrageous conspiracy theory. The U.S. government has been framing American patriots as the enemy for decades, and the reason should be obvious. Those who have been in control of the U.S. government for generations have no interest in serving the people in accordance to the Constitution or otherwise. Our country is being destroyed from within, and the rule of law has been weaponized against those who defend it. Hundreds of innocent Americans have been arrested and thrown in jail because they chose to peacefully protest the 2020 stolen election. And others, such as Jeremy Brown, a Green Beret who was approached in late 2020 by federal agents trying to recruit him for the Jan 6 false flag operation, was arrested after going public with this information by the same federal agents. He was put in maximum security prison, where he remains to this day, his 1,000th day in federal prison. Hundreds of innocent Americans have been in jail for years, and several have been tortured. Much of America is okay with the fact that hundreds are rotting in jail for a peaceful protest. It's already become the norm. While it's definitely worth celebrating the release of Julian Assange, the American people have never been more divided. The Daily Mail reports that more than 40% of Americans think a new civil war will be fought within the next decade. According to one poll, more than 4 in 10 U.S. voters say the country is likely to get ripped apart in a second civil war within 5 years. And another shows that over 100 million Americans say that civil war is coming. Based on the recommendation of think tank Policy Horizons, Canada has been preparing for an American civil war, including cyber attacks and grid failures following the 2024 presidential election. The soldiers of the New World Order are not going to die easy. They are apparently willing to spark a nuclear conflict with Russia and are already writing new laws to bring back the draft.
So women have never been required to register for the draft, but that could soon change thanks to lawmakers on Capitol Hill.
Martha, good morning. The Senate version of the National Defense Authorization Act, which sets out military and national security priorities, would require women to register for selective service. It concludes, quote, "This is a necessary and fair step, making it possible to draw on the talent of a unified nation in a time of national emergency." Now, there are two different versions of this bill, one in the House, one in the Senate, so it's possible women in the draft could get dropped as lawmakers iron out the differences.
So while women may get dropped from this bill, our government is bringing back the draft while provoking a major war with Russia. They have their bunkers, and they've already jailed hundreds for protesting an election. So they'll definitely jail draft dodgers and everyone else who stands in their way, unless we unite against them. Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.
Man, a lot of heavy stuff there, and there's a lot to unpack. But I first want to have you walk us through this information you received about, if I understand correctly, about these camps or centers that are being built in every state. So, what is this?
Okay, so on our documentary, thisistreason.com, we're doing flying across the nation, documenting everything. And we interviewed a lady named Christy Hutcherson. She is the founder and president of Women Fighting for America. And her background is DOD contracting, defense contracting. She built a lot of the forward operation bases, the FOBs, in war zones. So this is not some wild-eyed person. She made a ton of money in DC and still is involved in it, in contracting, federal contracting. Very, very intelligent woman, fully engaged, knows exactly what she's talking about. I'm interviewing her, and she tells me, JJ, do you know, because she has access to the bids, do you know that there are bids out for detention facilities across the United States of America? And I was like, for what? She says, they don't label them. I'll get to that in a second. She says they have bids out for separate facilities across America, 5-year contracts for $29 million each facility. I'm going to read you, I have it on my phone because I never want to misquote her. So I'm going to tell you what she sent me. Okay. Because I know I was coming on your show and I want to be very, very precise. So the request for information, this is what the federal government's building in every state of the United States of America. Okay. And this is what will encompass the $29 million for 5 years for each facility. Guard posts, static sites armed, access egress control, security screening, visitor processing, patrol and rescue, traffic control. $29 million per facility. Security guards and patrol services for DHS. And what she told me was these contracts are coming from DHS budget, but they're being built under FEMA. So they're taking DHS money, giving it to FEMA, hiding it, and sending it. This is another point she made. Brilliant. She says they don't push it out as a 50-state contract. They do state by state by state. And I said, why? She said, because if they did it all together, it gets congressional subcommittees get involved and they start breaking it down. Like, why are you doing this? And this is something else very interesting. She told me just this morning, about an hour ago. She says, when you look at how they list it for bidding, it's under housekeeping / security facilities. housekeeping, and security. And I said, well, I know this is an obvious question, but why would they do that? She says, because they're hiding it. They're hiding it. And I asked her in my interview, not today, but a couple of weeks ago, I asked her, I said, well, who are they building these for? And she said, they're building them for dissidents, meaning people that don't want to get vaccines. People like the gentleman just said in that video, you don't want to go to war in Ukraine? Oh, you traitor. You're in a prison camp. And I said to her, do you still feel this way? Do you still feel? I said, I have a very strong opinion, but I want to bounce it off you. And I want you to tell me what you still feel. And she said, she and I think quite a bit alike, to be honest with you. She says, well, I do deductive reasoning. And I asked the question, why are you building this? And then I follow up the question with, you're saying that they're for illegal aliens or something, but you have 40,000 ICE beds that are empty. You can't get the funding from Congress to build more ICE facilities because you don't use them. You're just street releasing. So why would you build detention facilities across the United States of America? Well, you only do that for one reason, to put the dissidents in, unless you're building prisons, but they're not prisons. They're releasing prisoners across America as we speak. So you're not doing it to hold criminal people. You're doing it for what other reasons left? What other deducted reason do you have left? Honestly. And I think that's a fair question. You are now, they're putting under housekeeping. How do you have housekeeping with a 5-year, $29 million contract? Times 50 of these things. And that's where we're at. And I know it sounds crazy. You and I have had this discussion on the multiple times you had me on, where I've had to say things that are, like I talked to you, I had that inner voice and I'm like, oh, dear God, I got to say this out loud. I know it's true. I know it's happening. It hasn't come out yet. And everyone's going to think I'm crazy. And these are one of those moments, Seth, where I'm just like, God, man, all right, here we go. Let's talk about it. Just like I have to talk about child sex trafficking. And they're like, oh, you're crazy. Really? Now it's come out. Oh my God, everything he said is actually being documented truth. Oh my God, there's actually 30 million people came into America. We're actually at about 50 million illegal aliens. I was mocked when I wrote my book, Invaded, where I had all that documentation in there and told, oh, you're crazy. Well, I never got an apology because today everything I wrote came true, times 2. And I'm telling you today, and maybe the question I have for you and your audience, Seth, is, do you trust your government? And do you want to go back in time and say, well, the government would never intern American citizens? Well, go ask the thousands of Japanese Americans that got ripped from their houses and thrown in detention camps. Don't listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what they say. You have members of Congress openly stating, when the election's over, we need to re-educate the MAGA people in detention facilities. And now they have bids for detention facilities. And here we are again, Seth. Well, that's crazy. No, it's not crazy. I'm listening to what they said. I'm watching their actions. Therefore, the conclusion has to be this. There is no other explanation. But that's where we're at. And this is a very dark time in American history. And if we don't get control over it, we are going to lose our country. There's no other way around it. At least I see it as there's no other conclusion than that.
Well, what's interesting is the 5-year timeline, because if they're anticipating Biden or who knows, Michelle Obama or Newsom or whoever it is, if they're anticipating having their person in the White House, then it would be something towards the end of their term, right? End of, whether it's Biden's second term or whatever it is, that these things would be complete. So trying to take a step back and be more objective.
Okay.
With obviously this woman, she's done a lot of contracts, a lot of RFPs and et cetera, where she's, doing, getting bids for big jobs. And she, you learn to read between the lines and understand what's happening, especially I imagine with working with government, because they're probably not upfront with a lot of what they're doing. So what is it that makes her think that these are actual detention camps and not something else?
Well, first, let me clarify something too. The 5-year, $29 million is renewable. Okay, it's not just stops. This is renewable. Like an automatic renewal. It's already been funded. So they're not going to Congress and asking for it. Congress has already funded this. It's in the budget. That's how crazy this is. You didn't know about it, right? Because it's housekeeping. Christy Hutcherson is an extremely intelligent woman. She put together a team of highly qualified experts, and she is now becoming one of the experts in the field of immigration, illegal immigration, and the why and the how, right? That's what she's been doing since about 2021. She's made, I would say, a small fortune. I don't know what her net worth is, but I would say it's fairly significant, being a defense contractor. Very intelligent. So when someone like that with those credentials come to me and says, look, man, they're hiding it in plain sight. This is how they do it. This is how they break down contracts. They didn't put it all into a national wide because Congress would get involved. They broke it down into individual states, and then they broke it down from DHS to FEMA, so to hide it under FEMA. And then you look, okay, like you said, you want to take a step back and look at it as logically as you can, right? Everything I come on your show or I talk to people, I don't just say it, right? I have my credibility. I have to have, that's all I have is my name, right? At the end of the day. So let's step back and let's look at child sex trafficking. That's bizarro world, right? That's conspiracy theory. But what if I told you that in Texas alone, you probably have 150, 200 child detention facilities that hold tens of kids to thousands? Then what if I told you there's over 400 child detention facilities across the United States of America, meaning they have already built the detention facilities for the children in across the nation? So are you telling me that you can't wrap your brain around the fact that the federal government is going to build detention facilities in every state of the union, and you're perplexed for who it's going to be? And again, ask yourself this question, Seth. Why? We have prisons, right? We have prisons in every state in America, state, local, federal. Maybe not every state federal, but mainly almost every major city has a metropolitan correction facility that's federally based, and they ship them across the country. You already have those facilities. Why are you building detention facilities? I want that answered for me. And then why did you hide it under DHS into FEMA and hid it under housekeeping? Why do you have, I'm going to read it again. Why do you have patrol and response, traffic control, visitor processing, security, screening? Are your maids doing that? Are all the illegal aliens that you told us that we need these people, they're going to be the screeners? Is that how you're hiding it? Is these people that are coming for a better life, maids and landscapers, are now going to be under this DHS FEMA contract? Do you see the absurdity of it and the lie? And again, I come back to the very, very important question. Do you trust your government? Look at the past history. Look at the wars we've been in that were lies. Look at the COVID, lie. Look at the vaccine, lie. Look at the border, it's a lie. Look at the 2020 election. Everyone now admits that was stolen, that there's no way that demented fool won. They have lied about everything. They lied about AIDS. Fauci destroyed the AIDS program. He's behind all this. They lied to us about everything. They interned Japanese. They put syphilis in Black Americans down in Alabama and in Mississippi and just let them rot and die. They sterilized almost 60,000 women, I think, in the 50s and 60s to test. That government. You believe that government? The government that got you in a war in Vietnam and 58,000 of our brothers and sisters died for what? The same $4 trillion wars in the Middle East, where the Middle East is completely blown up. The war in Ukraine now that we find is a proxy war for Russia. That government, you believe that government? So you believe that vile group of individuals, but you question that I bring something to you and say, hey, there's bids out there. I'm not making this up. She gave me the RFQs. You can just, maybe you can't get the access to go deep dive into the specifics of what the detention facility looks like. But there they are. The numbers, I'm looking at my iPhone. The numbers are right there. Look them up. It's nothing, maybe the bigger point that I want to make, I'm doing this documentary, thisistreason.com. And what I'm uncovering, Seth, and what I am without a shadow of doubt, Seth, I know this is not hyperbole. This is not trying to sell things or I'm not like that. You know me long enough to know that I'm not like that. I'm telling you that there is an absolute 100% chance or certainty that our federal government is the enemy of the people. Absolutely. I absolutely believe that. Everything that everything I've uncovered, talked about, found out, experienced, there's no other explanation. And I've tried, I promise you, I've tried to disprove myself because I don't want to believe that. Who wants to believe that their government hates you and wants to transform you into some third world cesspool Marxist nation? I don't want to believe that, but I have to because it's true.
I think if you also take a step back and ask yourself, who's controlling our government? Because maybe our government, the representative that you elect locally, et cetera, don't want us dead. But if our politicians, if our the bureaucrats, the president's children, if they've been bought off by the CCP, by the UN, the WEF, any number of Mossad, any number of agencies around the world, they could be pulling the strings. I think they are pulling the strings. And so even if we want to believe the people, maybe we'll think they're probably good people. Well, they've been compromised, right? We're seeing it over and over again. And I'm glad that I asked and played devil's advocate and got your response because it's important because when I try to look at the situation, what I'm looking at is just the patterns, right? And we're seeing J6, there's a pattern, the detention of that, there's a pattern. The FBI internal memos talking about the MAGA protesters, et cetera. So we're seeing this pattern, it's building things up. And yeah, I'm the same boat as you, that to me, you look at this and you say, look, it makes too much sense, unfortunately, that this is what they are.
Stop for a second and see the totality. Like you said, pull back, and I do that quite a bit. Pull back because you start to get myopic, right? You get the guardrails and the blinders because you're so intent. And sometimes you really have to pull yourself back and say, let's look at the totality of what's happening, not just in America and the world, but let's focus, because it's our country, let's focus on what in particular is happening. You have an open border that, and when I've come to the absolute certainty that prior to Joe Biden taking office, they had to have meetings with the highest level politicians, corporate people, everyone that's going to make the rules and enforce it at the highest level to make strategic and intentional and purposeful decisions to harm America. How do I know that? Well, day one of Joe Biden's term, that demented old fool signed 94 executive orders obliterating everything Donald Trump did. Everything. Let me just point to one that is two. Stop building the wall. No more building the wall. It's all gone. Two, President Trump had moratoriums on people coming from terrorist nations into America. I'm just going to name a few. Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen, Iran, Iraq, Sudan, a couple other. There was like 20 countries. And if I listed them all out, you would go, yeah, I don't want any of those people coming to my country unless they're like extremely vetted and we know like one by one. No. Day one, swipe it. All those people are allowed into our country. All of them that hate our country. Why would the sitting president on day one, not day 1,000, day one, do 94 executive orders all on immigration? Because they determined that the vehicle to use to destroy the United States of America will be mass importation of tens of millions of illegal aliens. That became their weapon, their vehicle to change. And I will applaud them. They were absolutely correct in their decision because they are winning. Absolutely. At the end of Joe Biden's term, at the end of his term, he will have arrested and released and or allowed absconded between 27 and 30 million people. We are now sitting at about 45 to 50 million illegal aliens. Try to understand what I'm saying. That's 1 in 6 residents inside our walls is an illegal alien. These numbers are not even disputed. They're talking about these numbers in the halls of Congress on the Senate floor, talking, 45 million. I know it's 45 million. As if it just magically happened. No, it has been purposeful and intentional and strategic. And you Republican impotent rhinos, you allowed it to happen. You allowed it to happen.
That's it. That's the weapon. I mean, you go back to ancient Rome, you see very similar patterns in ancient Rome. And so now, going back to Greg Reese's report that he did, right? So he lays out these centers. He goes in and talks about FEMA. He then goes into looking at Civil War. He breaks down the narrative about Civil War. And we've seen this, right? We're seeing it in the films that are coming out, this predictive programming, where he pulled up that report, which I'm going to go look at it after the show, from Canada, where they're wargaming and their one particular agency or group within Canada looks like they're saying that they're concerned that after this election that our country will fall into civil war, which, it makes sense that, Canada, if that's a scenario, you want to understand what that looks like. Okay, how does that affect Canada if America descends into that? So do you think that these potential camps, do you think that the people that are designing and building and laying out the plans for these camps have an idea that these camps will play some sort of role in massive unrest, whether it's civil war, huge riots, or whatever it is? How do you think this all fits together if you look forward to the future?
It's all speculation, right? Because you're looking at, but in order to have an intellectual opinion about it, I think you have to have some historical context that you have a Democrat Party that is on the inch line of, like, think of a football Super Bowl. They're on the inch line to score the touchdown and win the game with 1 second left, which is the 2024 election. Are you telling me after decades of getting to this point of driving that ball down the field, they're just going to stop and they're not going to do whatever they have to do? Meaning they're going to drag that old bag of skin across the finish line, and then miraculously he's going to have 100 million votes this time. To think that they're not going to do that. Look what Tucker Carlson says. Look what Alex Jones, who said, people say, oh, he's crazy. Well, no, actually, he's been right on the target. Listen to what you and I have talked about in the past. They have impeached this man 3 times. They have put him in front of trials, convicted him. They're going to throw him in jail in about 2 weeks. He's still going to win. He's still going to have more votes unless they steal it. All they have left to do is to kill him. And you think that that's crazy? Well, who killed JFK? Do we believe that it's a lone gunman? Do you trust anything that you know in history? So why would, once, it's almost as if, Seth, we are having a moment of enlightenment and everything is being brought out to the open in the spotlight, what our government has done for decades, for 100 years. And everybody is at first recoiling, but then we're slowly opening our eyes and going, that's not true. That's not true. Oh my God, everything that they've told us since I was in grammar school is a lie. Everything. And now we get to the point where you're right, predictive programming, civil war. They're getting you used to it. They're just allowing you to, it's not a shock to the system when it happens. So let's say a civil war happens. God, I hope that doesn't happen. It doesn't matter if my side wins or their side. America is never going to be America. It may be that it may be called the United States of America, but it ain't going to be the United States of America. It'll be something different. What is that? I don't know. What does the Civil War look like? It's not divided line in states. It's not going to be that clean. It's going to be chaotic and messy, right? You're going to have, I don't know what the manifestation is, but why would you not plan? We talked about 94 executive orders. We talked about 296 immigration executive orders in 1 year. 1 year. That means they're planning. And to assume that Joe Biden is in control. No, you have strategic people that are making strategic decisions, important, life-altering, country-altering decisions. They were doing that back in 2020 into 2021 inauguration. Why would you think that they've stopped? That they found Jesus and they're like, oh, we need to stop doing this. This is immoral. Let's just go forward now. Come on, people.
So a lot of folks are not a big fan of all fruits and veggies. Some taste great, but many don't. And you have to admit, when you're in the produce section, all those vibrant colors of fruits and veggies look so good. Balance of Nature explains that all those colors you see in the produce section equals nutritional variety. Different colors signify different key nutrients. So if you only eat your favorite one or two veggies, you're missing a whole world of vital nutrients. And that's why you should eat a big variety of fruits and veggies. Well, I decided it was time to start taking Balance of Nature's fruit and veggie supplements each day. And get this, some Balance of Nature customers say the fruit and veggie capsules taste so good, you can actually chew them. So I gave Balance of Nature a try, and I'm glad I did. Are you ready? So whether you order online or call them direct, you must use a promo code SETH to get this special offer of 35% off and free shipping on your first order. As a preferred customer, call them at 800-246-8751 and use discount code SETH, or order online at balanceofnature.com. Use discount code SETH to get 35% off and free shipping on your first order as a preferred customer.
I think this is, it's frightening if you start to talk in those terms and you start going down, which I like to do, is go down step 5, 6, 7. You're all the way back in present time in step 1. I've already gone past, I've already seen, oh my God, steps 5 through 9 are horrific. How do we not get to that? Well, you have to stop what's happening now. You can't build detention facilities across America. Why are you building detention facilities across America? No one asks, where are the Republicans? And the answer is they're compromised. They're all compromised. Sexually or by taking money. I truly believe that. I know it sounds so simple, but that's what I believe. I can go into that further, but I believe either the congressmen and senators are compromised sexually. They've had some sexual fetish with whatever adult fetish, or with children, mainly with children, and or they have been getting wealthy as being a congressman, absolutely, or senator. I believe that wholeheartedly.
So with all this information coming out, the person sitting here watching and having this realization, a sober realization that, yes, I'm seeing these patterns in our government. Our government is turning against the people. It's stepping into that realm of tyrannical. You look at some of the treatment of J6 prisoners. You look at what's happening with Donald Trump. You can see all the signs are there, right? All the indicators. It's like if a storm's coming, it's like all the indicator boxes are checked. It's like, okay, yep, it's all in line for some sort of storm coming that you can see. I like your analogy in saying, look, they're on the final, inch. They're an inch from the goal line, and I look at it as it's the Democrats are just a tool. They're just a tool being used, just like the Republicans are being used, and their controllers are. I think it's multiple groups that have a common goal of seeing America fall, that each have their own individual goals for what happens after America falls. So, you have this idea of this one world order. I think it's probably 10 different groups all wanting their own, world order, that who knows what kind of chaos would fall, across the world if America comes down. And so you have this all happening and you can make sense of it. But what does the average person who's awake to this, what do they do with this information? Like, what if someone comes to you and say, JJ, I watched your shows, I now know what's going on, but what do I do? I've got a family, I've got a mortgage, I've got a home. What do I do?
You could try to be prepared all you want. I talk to these I just call them alphabet agency type guys, okay? And they tell me, you can prepare all you want, but once the war or EMP attack or terrorist attack or the grid goes down, You got about 72 hours before absolute chaos reigns in America. All the food's going to go bad. All your water gets pumped like through mechanisms. So that's going to stop. You're going to have complete chaos. I think preparedness means having supply of water that can last you a month. Having weapons, because when people are thirsty and hungry and tired, and their children are hungry and tired and dying, they're going to do whatever they got to do. Outside of that, the only thing that I can see outside of a violent revolution, which I believe is a probability, I just do, okay, is our founding fathers gave us a roadmap, and they said, you cannot have a tyrannical, central, powerful government, which we do now. You have to take control at the lowest level, meaning your city council, your school boards. You have to take that over. Then your mayor is a America First guy, and he demands it because the mayor controls the chief of police. Mayor gets a chief of police. We are having no sanctuary cities. We are having no illegal aliens in our country. You are going to be cross-designated, and you are going to eradicate our community of illegal aliens. No illegal aliens can work in our community. We have E-Verify. Then you cobble together a couple counties. Now you have a state. And then that state doesn't ask the federal government, because it is enumerated in our Constitution. The rights of the federal government are enumerated, meaning they are limited, and they are explicitly detailed. Everything else goes to the states. So the states don't need to ask the federal government. The states just take it back. Oh, you want to sue? You want to sue with the Supreme Court? I don't care. Let them do whatever they want. I own it. I'm in the state of Kansas. We own it. You don't like it? Okay, I have the National Guard. Are you going to try and we're going to have a war now? Is that what you can do, Mr. President? No. I have the right per the Constitution, and I'm doing that. And then you cobble together a couple more states, and now you have a strong union. And now you can demand and strip the federal government away of all their powers. Now, the question is, are we too far gone? And does America have the stomach and wherewithal to go through years of getting that right? I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of people that are very much have more intellect than me, have stated openly, revolutions and violent revolutions do not happen until the people begin to starve. And maybe that's what the trigger is going to be. You look at the inflation is eating away everything. I just went to Costco and got a half a basket for $407. I could not believe it. I honestly could not believe it. I just sat there looking at the cash register, the cashier, and I was like, she kind of gave me a look like, I know, man. I go to fast food to get my son and I get a burger after his swim meet at McDonald's or Whataburger or whatever. It's $25 for 2 meals. $25. I can absorb that. I'm not saying, oh my God, I'm broke. I'm just saying, dear God, $25. This is just symbolic of the bigger picture. So you are seeing, as you said, all the dots, all the events lining up, all the boxes being checked. And if you have half a brain, you have to say, well, damn it, that only leaves about 1 or 2 conclusions. And they're not good, right? They're not good. And the government doesn't give a rip about you. You got people that have been in prison for over 1,000 days, 3 years, 4 years, in almost 4 years, in almost solitary confinement. That's against the Constitution. They're giving no bail bonds to illegal aliens that are child rapists, murderers, people that burnt down the Portland federal buildings. And these people walked into where the police opened the gates and let them in, to the people's house. The irony of that is shocking. To the people's house, and they don't have bail because they're insurrectionists? Come on, America. Wake up and see what the hell's going on to you. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go down this road, and I don't care how it sounds, Seth, because I talk to hundreds, if not thousands of men like me. When and if this all goes to crap, and we all pray it doesn't, we, the men like myself, are going to circle our wagons, and we're going to do nothing to help you. Nothing. Zero. We're going to take care of our families, and we're going to take care of our patriots that are side by side. All you people that have been calling us vile names, and when those people, those hordes of savages, they're not coming for me. They're not going to come from a guy that's got an American flag flying in front of the house because he knows that I have a Second Amendment and I'll kill you. What are they going to do? They're going to hunt down the Biden flags and the LGBTQ flags. How do I know that? Because they're already doing it on the Eastern Seaboard. Home burglary gangs are looking for Biden signs and LGBTQ because they know their households are run by beta males and there's no weapons in there, and they're ransacking your houses. That's going to happen. It's happening right now. And men like me are not going to help you. Not. May God save my soul, but I will not help you. Not 1 second of my life will I help you.
So you're saying that that's already happening, that you're getting reports coming out that there are gangs targeting particular homes based upon political affiliation. So the guy that has the "Don't Tread on Me," the American flag, the Trump sign,
skip it.
They're skipping it.
No, this has been going on for months, Seth. This has been up in Michigan all the way down. Yep. And they asked them, well, we're looking for all the people. They went by and they saw all the houses. Well, what's the common denominator? Well, they all have Biden and LGBTQ flags or signs. And they're just targeting them because they know. Look, you just allowed in 30 million people under Joe Biden, okay? Terrorists, PLA soldiers, Venezuelans by the millions, Haitians by a million, everything you can imagine. 60 to 70% of everyone across the border, single adult military age men from continent Africa, Middle East, and those countries I told you. The number one weapon of choice, well, there's two weapons of choice, is the machete and rape. That's their weapons. Machete you to death or rape your wife in front of you and children and allow you to know that I'm more powerful than you. Those people are in our country. And do you think for a second that the barista with his man bun and his skinny arms wearing his skinny jeans scares him? Where they follow a guy back with the LGBT flag and all their acronyms spread across their bumper of his car, and they drive into their $1 million house. They're not going, yeah, I'm going to take all his stuff. They've already raped and pillaged all the way through their countries, all the way through their travel. How do you think 60 to 80% of women and children are raped or sexually abused coming up from the Darien Gap into Mexico? Do you think that's randomly those people are they're just wolves and they stay down there? Or do you think they're here in our country? Of course they're here in our country. Venezuela has emptied out their prisons. Haiti is a fallen nation and all of their prisons are empty. Go look it up, Google it. All their prisons are empty. Where are they? Well, they're here in America. How do we know that? Okay, let's look at data. Venezuela came out just 2 months ago and said their murder rate is as low as it's ever been in 22 years. Well, why in the hell is that? Because they're here. Maduro already said, I'm not taking back anybody that left my country. You're stuck with them. This is what's happening, Seth. We're seeing the manifestation. I could go on literally, Man in America, we could do a marathon for 24 hours, and I could list almost on top of my head, nonstop, the number of people that have been raped and murdered in America by illegal aliens. The woman in Maryland, 5 children, beautiful woman, raped, strangled, killed. Ecuadorian, rapes, ties up a 14-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl in broad daylight in New York City and rapes her and films it. I mean, I could just go on and on and on. The little girl, 12 years old, illegal alien from Honduras or Mexico, who really gives a crap? It doesn't matter. She gets strangled and probably raped. They don't say it yet, but she got strangled and left in a ditch, like a culvert in Houston, Texas. She's beautiful. She had braces, the long curly hair, like that awkward age, right? Where they're trying to be a young girl to a young woman. They're beautiful, innocent, strangled, just gone. But it's happening every day.
At the very heart of our democracy lies a principle we hold sacred: free speech. It's the cornerstone that supports every freedom we cherish. Yet in today's digital age, discussions about our wealth, our rights, and our future are being silenced or overshadowed in mainstream narratives, leaving many feeling voiceless in conversations crucial to our financial independence and security. This is where wealth protection research steps in, armed with a mission that's never been more critical. Wealth Protection Research is not a financial advisory firm. They're defenders of free speech committed to giving a voice to the silenced. Wealth Protection Research tirelessly seeks out financial experts. These are the voices that challenge prevailing narratives, especially as we navigate the uncertainties of the 2024 election. Wealth Protection Research has created a 2024 Election Wealth Protection Report. This free report highlights the 3 best ideas for protecting and growing your money heading into the 2024 election. It contains ideas the mainstream media won't even touch, and listeners can get it completely free. So text IDEAS to 76626 to claim your free copy. If you believe in the sanctity of free speech and the importance of financial freedom, then act now. So text IDEAS to 76626 to claim your free copy of this 2024 Election Protection Report. It's time to widen the scope of what we're told, to hear the ideas the establishment does not think you can handle, and to take control of our financial destinies. So folks, today, text IDEAS to 76626 to claim your free copy.
And everyone acts as if they're immune to it. It's not going to happen to me. Well, of course it's going to happen to you. These weren't low-level, low-economic slums where these people were getting murdered and raped. They're in everyday America because your politicians have created homes, detention facilities, and hotels, and they're housing those people inside your neighborhoods. You think you don't have it in your neighborhood. They're inside your neighborhood, and you have no idea. Drive by Comfort Inns, Holiday Inns, a couple of those, that range, and just look and say, there's no cars at that Comfort Inn for weeks in Boston. Why is that? Well, because it's filled with illegal aliens inside your community, in your neighborhoods, and you didn't know it. No one asked you. No, your politicians didn't even ask. The federal government doesn't even ask the locals. They just build it, and you got to deal with it. Sorry. It happened in Texas. Texas is all over the place. But it's a dangerous time, Seth. Dangerous time in America.
Which is why it's important to have these conversations, because we need to know what the risks are out there, what the enemy is doing, and prepare the best that we can. I think ultimately, to me, it's like the ultimate preparation is spiritually preparing. I think God has shown this nation grace before, and I just hope that it's a nation that is worth having his grace again. I hope that enough good people can stand up. So, JJ, as we finish up, I want to jump back to just your documentary. So I'll pull up the website you've got here. thisistreason.com. I know you've been doing some incredible reporting with this. And tell us what to expect with this. When's it coming out? How can we support it? Tell us about it.
Okay. Well, first off, thanks for allowing me to come on and promote it, because I believe strongly that it's going to be one of the most powerful documentaries you're ever going to see. I have a partner, Ryan Matta, and his editing team that are off the chart. It's not going to be that dusty old, I'm bored watching documentary. After 90 minutes, I believe you are going to feel as if you have not even exhaled and you've been holding your breath for 90 minutes. And then you're going to say, I don't believe anything that I saw. This is beyond absurd. Then you're going to fact check me and you're going to find out, oh my God, everything he said is correct. The way that you can support us is go to thisistreason.com and you can pre-order for $9.99, like a large coffee at Starbucks. $9.99, get you the access to the documentary. It will release in September, first week of September, or you can buy the VIP for $14.99. And Ryan Matta came up with this idea, and I thought this is brilliant. He said, when you watch a documentary, there are many times that you're like, God, I would love to know that I would love to see the rest of that interview. Like, I would love to see the behind the scenes, what was going on. Well, we're doing that as we go from San Diego, Chicago, New York, Boston, Philadelphia, on and on. We post, and we have 10 videos on there now. And you follow along this journey of what the final product is. So you see all the behind the scenes, and that's the access you have. At the end, for $14.99, you'll end up with an hour and a half, 90-minute documentary. And then you'll probably end up with another 30, 40, 50 hours of interviews, professionally edited interviews, and see them. So I'm very proud of this. I think it's going to be extremely impactful. Do I know? Is it going to sell? We're already selling thousands of copies pre-sales. So am I going to sell 100,000 copies or 10 million? I don't know. I just don't know. But I know that I've done everything I can to put it in a package for America to understand what the hell's going on. And I started this journey thinking that this documentary was going to be about this. And as I'm finishing, I have one more month of filming. It's not what I thought, because the problem's bigger. It's more malicious. It is more devious. The child sex trafficking, the narcotics smuggling, the invasion, the reason behind the invasion, who is doing it, everything is coming to light. And I'll be very honest, as I'm with you all the time. When I come home from every 3 or 4 day trip where I film, I come home and it takes me minimum 5 to 7 days to decompress from what the hell I just saw and what I learned. It's shocking. That I think that alone should be shocking enough that you're talking to a guy that did this for 24 years, and I'm really, really desensitized to a lot of this crap. But even myself, I'm just like, okay, how did I not know that this is happening? How did I not know that this is this deep? Because you can't wrap your brain around the fact that your government is so tyrannical and so evil. You just can't. I went to Philadelphia, Kensington. I want you to think of a square mile of zombies. That's the only way I can describe it. Dragging their legs with giant flesh-eating wounds on their legs and arms. Standing in positions for hours, hunched over. People with machetes running around. There were thousands of zombies. Thousands. 95% of all the hard narcotics come straight from the Sinaloa drug cartel in Mexico. Open borders have powerful, impactful consequences. And those consequences I'm going to show in this documentary. I'm going to hold no punches. Here it is. And it's going to be an incredible story. It's going to be powerful. That's my hope and my belief.
So this is treason.com. That's everyone's homework right now. The interview's wrapping up.
Yes,
go to
please.
thisistreason.com, pre-order, whether you get the regular for $10, the VIP for $15. Pre-order, it's coming out. JJ, it's always great having you coming on. I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate that you're blunt. You're not sensational. You're real. And these are the kinds of conversations we need to be having right now, because this is all real stuff that we're talking about. These aren't just conspiracies. This is real life in America right now. And I hope it's not 10 years from now, but it is right now. And the only way for us to get through it is to face it for what it is. And I appreciate you helping us to do that. So take care, man. Good luck with finishing your documentary. And God bless. You're doing some great work out there.
Thank you, Seth. It's always great to talk to you. And I'm hoping soon that we can our country's back to where it is, and you and I could talk about the importance of being a father and a husband. Those are the things that I want to talk about, not child sex trafficking and detention facilities. But God willing, maybe we'll have that time and our country gets back to our founding documents. But thank you always for giving me such a platform to speak the truth.
Absolutely, man. Take care.
Thank you.
Folks, I have a quick message for you. Look, the 2024 election is do or die for the globalists and communists that have infiltrated our country and are currently running it. And they either have to win or they're going to destroy America so nothing is left either way. And if you're the person that's watching this show and following this information, unfortunately, you have the weight on your shoulders of making sure that your family is prepared, especially as we head into this next year and this next election cycle, because unfortunately, I think it's going to get rough. And one of the ways I know they're going to target us is through our food supply. You can see all the food factories burned down. You can see the warnings of coming famines and food shortages and everything like that. And food is one of the number one ways totalitarian regimes have always used to control the population, is destroy the food supply. So if you don't have at least 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months worth of stored food, I highly recommend you take that very seriously because, look, as I mentioned, if you're the person that's watching this, you're the person that carries the burden of making sure your family is prepared. I would recommend at least 6 months, if not a year, of storable food. So if things go haywire, whether it's grid down or terrorist attack from what's coming across the border, that your family can safely stay in place and you can feed your family. So, folks, today, go to heavensharvest.com and make sure you get your storable food that'll last for up to 25 years. Just in case things go south, you know that you have what's going to take to feed your family, which is so, so critical for us to get through this next stage of history. So go to heavensharvest.com today, order your food that'll last up to 25 years, and use promo code Seth to save 15% on your entire order. Again, that's heavensharvest.com and use promo code Seth, SETH, to save 15% on your entire order. Folks, perhaps you'd agree with me when I say that over the past 5 years, the mainstream healthcare system's credibility has plummeted. Alternative healthcare systems that aren't beholden to medical consensus or big pharma are on the rise. Sweetamine is time-tested and proven to boost your life with better health. It's one of the leading products that helps with inflammation and daily aches and pains. Just because you get older, it doesn't mean that you have to feel old. And folks, did you know that most of the diseases that make people sick and die these days are rooted in chronic inflammation, oftentimes due to glycine deficiency? So sweetamine is composed mainly of the amino acid glycine, the nutrient that the immune system uses to regulate inflammation. So with once daily sweetamine, most people feel the reduction in pain after just a few days. So I challenge you to the 12-day sweetamine challenge to fight inflammation and take control of your health today. So folks, buy sweetamine online at sweetamine.com or call 855-GET-SWEET. That's 855-438-7933, and make sure you use promo code Seth, SETH, to get a nice discount on your purchase.